Guys, bear markets suck. We all know this, but they can also be a massive opportunity. You see, when prices crash, all of the hype disappears and you can easily tell the real projects from the pretenders. And that's why, if you know exactly what to look for, you can not only survive the bear market, but even profit from it. How, you may ask? Well, through shorting, of course. But let's get something straight. Shorting random tokens without a strategy is a great way to get wrecked, even in a bear market. In order to maximize your chance of success, you gotta research and identify coins with specific weaknesses that the bear market will likely amplify. That's why I spent the past few weeks diving into projects, analyzing their fundamentals, and uncovering a select group of coins that are prime targets to short. So if you're tired of watching your portfolio bleed and are ready to turn this bear market into some gains, then stick around because I'm about to show you exactly what I would short and why. Alright, let's kick things off with what might be the most ironic shorting opportunity in crypto right now, and that's Trump and Melania. Yep, these are meme coins brought to you by the first family of the United States, totally not for their own enrichment, right? Anyhow, together these tokens are still worth roughly $3 billion despite massive insider holdings and literally zero practical use cases. But there's more bad news too, because huge token unlocks are on the horizon, with up to 5% of their tokens set to flood the market soon. Now, to put this into perspective, Melania has already tanked 94% from its all-time high, clearly showing us that these are nothing more than opportunistic pump and dumps. But here is the kicker. Trump himself recently announced a government-backed strategic crypto reserve featuring Bitcoin and Ethereum, but conveniently leaving out his own tokens. Go figure. Now, given the track record of Trump Stakes and Trump University, you know exactly what to do with these tokens. Go ahead and short them right into the ground. Now, next up is a project that takes crypto delusion to a whole new level, and that is the Pi network. Pi's whole pitch is that it lets you mine crypto directly from your phone, which immediately raises some huge red flags if you've got even the slightest technical knowledge. Yet somehow, this project has managed to attract a cult-like following and currently sits at an insane $7 billion market cap. But wait, it gets even crazier as its fully diluted valuation is over $100 billion. Seriously. And the Pi community isn't just hopeful, they're straight up living in La La Land. Many of them genuinely believe that each Pi token will hit a so-called global consensus value of exactly $314,159. That's Pi times 100,000, by the way. But reality check, not everyone's buying into the hype. Chinese authorities have labeled it as a scam, specifically targeting elderly folks. And even Bybit's CEO openly refused to list Pi, citing numerous police warnings questioning its legitimacy. Meanwhile, most of Pi's 70 million miners can't even sell their tokens yet after years of waiting. So yeah, it's safe to say that this one is garbage and has a lot further to drop during the bear market. Alright, moving on, our next candidate for shorting is a textbook VC pump and dump, trying to pass itself off as innovative tech, and that is none other than Celestia. If you've been around in crypto for a while, you've probably seen this playbook before. VCs buy tokens super early, hype up the project to retail investors, and then dump their bags as soon as possible. As for Celestia, well, they're executing this strategy flawlessly. The main picture is that Celestia provides a data availability layer for blockchains. Sounds fancy, right? Well, apparently plenty of people bought into the hype, driving its market cap up to $4 billion at the peak. But here is the brutal truth. VCs are still sitting on about 11x gains from their initial investment, and every single month, around 3% of Celestia's total supply unlocks, creating a constant sell pressure. On top of all of that, Celestia faces serious competition. For example, for app chains built on Base, they are exploring centralized solutions such as AWS for their data availability, because it makes more sense for their customers. Plus, Ethereum itself is ramping up its blob capacity, directly challenging Celestia's value proposition. So at the end of the day, it's tough enough to attract developers to your blockchain, but it's nearly impossible if your project has no competitive edge. Alright, next up is our fourth candidate, a project with an ambitious but kind of unsettling vision, and that's WorldCoin. When Sam Altman isn't busy shipping overpriced AI products, he's out here trying to get people to scan their eyeballs for crypto with his WorldCoin orbs. Totally not creepy or dystopian at all, right? Even though it looks like something straight out of The Handmaid's Tale, WorldCoin still has a market cap of about $1 billion, and this is despite being banned in multiple countries. Now, the project's core idea is to basically offer universal basic income through shiny tokens, just as long as you're cool with giving up biometric scans of your eyes. Because apparently that is the only way that you can prove that you're really you. Thankfully, several governments just aren't buying it. WorldCoin is currently facing regulatory crackdowns in 10 plus countries around the world. In fact, South Korea already slapped them with an $830,000 fine for alleged violations related to personal data. And here is the kicker. 89% of their tokens are still locked, with around 2% unlocking every single month, which means that selling pressure is about to get intense once those restrictions ease up. Now, as for the token itself, no surprises here. There's basically zero utility beyond governance, which hasn't even been implemented yet. It turns out Sam isn't exactly a fan of governance after all. Shocking, right? Anyhow, let's move on to candidate number 5, a project that can't even figure out what it's trying to be, and that's EIGEN. So this started out as an ETH restaking protocol promising groundbreaking yields, but these days, even their own team calls their core concept a meme. This doesn't exactly inspire confidence in investors. Also, their tokenomics are straight up trash, sitting at a $270 million market cap with 86% of their tokens still locked. This project has a long, painful road of selling pressure ahead of it. Now, to make things worse, they launched an airdrop that turned out to be one of crypto's biggest disasters, excluding participants from multiple countries after initially allowing them to deposit ETH onto their platform. Seriously, that was not a great look. Anyhow, the word EIGEN actually means own in German, and it's about time that the team owned up to their mess that has been taking a beating in the market. Alright, our next candidate for shorting has got to be ZK Sync, a perfect example of great tech getting wrecked by terrible execution. Now, ZK Sync was supposed to be Ethereum's golden child when it comes to layer 2 scaling solutions, but here is the problem. Literally nobody is using it. Now, since launch, active wallet addresses have dropped by 95%, no joke. And scaling solutions are supposed to be fast and cheap, right? Otherwise, what is the point? But somehow ZK Sync is around 550% more expensive than competitors such as Base, which could explain why it's getting very little adoption. Now, to make things worse, they've had multiple network outages, failing to produce blocks for hours at a time. And then there's their tokenomics. This June, nearly 4% of their tokens unlocked, followed by roughly 1% monthly after that. So yeah, this is going to be a slow, painful bleed during the bear market. Perfect shorting opportunity in my opinion. All right, next up, our 7th candidate for shorting is Move, a project that has sold tickets to a show that still doesn't exist. Move calls itself the first Move VM layer 2 for Ethereum and somehow has a $1 billion market cap, but they've stumbled repeatedly along the way. They launched their token before the mainnet even existed, and since then it's been delay after delay, leaving supporters seriously questioning their ability to deliver. Right now, Move's fully diluted market cap is higher than Arbitrum, Polygon, and Optimism, all of which actually work. So with their 76% of tokens still locked and monthly unlocks incoming, the only real move for this project is down. Now, our 8th candidate for shorting has got to be KAITO, probably the most influencer driven pump in crypto. Now, KAITO, which is a Twitter analytics platform, found a very innovative way to pump its token. Just go ahead and hand it out directly to influencers because that's always been a winning strategy, right? Now, they've created a shady influencer-driven mess, giving out 50,000 to 170,000 tokens worth between 90,000 to 300,000 to top influencers on crypto Twitter. With 76% of tokens still locked and close to 2% of the supply unlocking this August, the selling pressure will be massive here. Now, it's basically multi-level marketing, but pretty much the absolute worst version of it. And this includes insufferable KOLs as well. Now, my 9th project to potentially short takes us into the sketchy world of cross-chain bridges, this time with Wormhole. Now, this is a protocol that's literally lost more money than its current market cap. Right now, Wormhole's market cap sits at 250 million, which ironically is less than the $320 million that they lost in a hack just 3 years ago. Now, users call it the biggest mistake of crypto, and transactions still get stuck for weeks at a time. Now, with 71% of tokens still locked and consistent monthly unlocks, constant selling pressure is pretty much a guarantee here. Now, cross-chain bridges might be essential to crypto, but they're also massive hacker targets. and Wormhole is living proof of that, and that's why I remain bearish on it throughout the bear market. Now, wrapping up our list is a project that is so dead that shorting it feels like mercy, and that is Decentraland. Now, this is a metaverse project that raised $24 million during one of the shadiest ICOs ever, and that's saying something. It was hot for a moment, but these days it averages a whopping 44 active users. Yep, you heard me right, 44. And that means each user is effectively valued at $13 million each, enough to literally buy each of them a private island. And you gotta wonder what these 44 people are even doing there. Now, Google Trends shows that interest in the metaverse is at its lowest point in the last 5 years, and Decentraland totally missed the 2021 hype wave. Nobody cares. Nobody's interested, and kids would rather play Roblox. So I believe it's time for this one to die. Anyhow, that's my top projects to short during the bear market, but what is the biggest takeaway here? Honestly, it's the fact that 99% of crypto projects are going nowhere. However, many of these zombie projects manage to linger because of the die-hard believers hoping to outlast the bear market. Spoiler alert, most of them won't. You got massive token unlocks, zero product market fit, blatant scams, but whatever the reason, these coins are prime targets to underperform, especially if you're shorting them. Now, don't feel guilty betting against weak projects. Now, it's not personal, it's just the markets. And honestly, sometimes you're doing everyone a favor. Now, even though I did a ton of research to come up with this list, I know I'm missing some really good ones to short. So if you have some in mind, go ahead and drop them below in the comments. Also, just because most coins drop during the bear market doesn't mean that some can't be exceptions to the rule and actually pump. In fact, my co-host Josh R made a video recently about the top projects that he thinks will actually pump during the bear market. So if you want to find out what they are, then just go ahead and watch this video right here. Peace.